Welcome to my YouTube tutorial. I'm 𝙁𝙪𝙡𝙍, your favorite nail artist from 𝙁𝙪𝙡 shop, partnering with Dreamtime Creation. Together, we offering you high quality crystal and exclusive nail art products. So for today's tutorial, we are doing a Bob Marley inspired theme, all black and white with a pop of colors. And don't forget about that rainbow smoke technique. But before we get started, if you are a big fan of nail art, especially nail art tutorial, you come into the right place because that's all we do and we upload every week. So if that in any of your interest, please hit like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And don't forget to subscribe to Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook so you don't miss out any of our weekly uploads. Now, without no further ado, let's get started. So first, I am mixing pigment base and shadow for this gray color and cure for 60 seconds. Now I'm drawing two straight lines on both sides, and the line on top and bottom is curved. I'm using black art gel, by the way. Now this is a straight line for the sunglasses. Make sure they both parallel. Now I'm gonna draw a pretty steep curve in the middle. This will be the middle of the sunglasses. Two curves on both sides. Then I'm gonna repeat the curve. These parallel lines will be the frame of the sunglasses. And if you notice, the bottom of the sunglasses is right in the middle of the face. Now draw a T shape and a slight curve for the mouth. Now from the top of the T, I am gonna slant in. Make sure that these lines are slightly swayed. I also gonna make sure I curve all the corner. You want it to be all nice and smooth before you color it in. And I'm gonna smooth out on both sides of the mouth also. Now for this to be super effective, make sure you don't look at the black line but look at the negative gray space. Then we're gonna draw the cigar. I'm using coloring brush and alcohol to remove excess detail in the middle of the cigar. And I am gonna start drawing some thread. This is a 10mm brush that I'm using, by the way. And of course, I'm using black art gel for the detail. Just because gel polish are very unstable and very liquidy, so when it comes to lines like this, I always use art gel. Now when it comes to this line, you don't have to be too careful because after this, we are going to use shadow to start shading this. And make sure that your lines are not too parallel. You want to make sure that you stack these hairline in different order and different layers just to make the hair more natural. I also gonna draw some thread right in the bottom of the face too. And remember, don't be too careful. You're gonna end up shading this later. So just sketch it lightly and freely. And you notice here all of my lines for the thread, the line are not very refined. And remember, when you're done with all these lines, you can cure it for 60 seconds before you move on to the shading. I am using my shadow gel for shading. This shadow right here live up to its name. This is a semi-transparent gel with about 90% opacity and about 10% transparency. This will allow you to paint a solid color without the gel being wrinkled on you. And whenever you want to blend out this gel for shading, this shadow gel will be perfect for it. The brush that I'm using right now are my coloring brush, which is a little bit similar to my detail brush. But this brush is not used for detail. It's used for fill-in color and it's used for blending. And you notice the body are very bulky, which allows the brush to take in a lot of gel. Therefore, when it comes to tasks like this, it's extremely easy and perfect for you thanks to its voluminous body. I'm gonna fill the top in completely solid with shadow gel. And if you notice, I don't really press my coloring brush at all to the surface. I only use the tip of my brush to lightly paint in circular motion or in stroking motion. Now come over on this side, I will do exactly the same thing. Color in just a little bit and make sure you wipe off your brush before you start blending it out. Just because when it comes to blending, you cannot have any excess gel on your brush. It has to be completely dry for a flawless transition. And you can clean up your brush with alcohol or you can use acetone because my brush is acetone proof, so it's completely safe. So after I'm done with the hair, I am gonna start moving down to the face. Start fill in lightly on the side of the face and clean your brush before you start shading. Notice I go layer by layers, and you don't have to shade it all perfectly in one layers. If you want, you can shade it lightly and then cure for about 15 seconds, and then you can go back and then shade it the second time. This is one of a very healthy habit when it comes to shading, especially if you're a perfectionist. Remember, 2 layers is always better than just 1 layers. So after we finish with the top, we're gonna move down to the sunglasses. Now note that my side of the sunglasses are straight, but the shade I'm gonna slightly curve it just to add a little dimension to my sunglasses. And see, I go layer by layers. Same with the left side. Lightly go in with a solid curved lines. Clean your brush and then go back and shade just a little bit along the line from top all the way down to the bottom, and then clean your brush again and then shade it again. See that? Make sure you study this move very carefully. This will help you a lot when it comes to shading. Now, as you can see that the line is slowly start to take shape and dimension. This is 2-dimensional drawing, and it's very useful when it comes to character painting. So if you are a beginner, make sure you have 3 important elements when it comes to painting. You need art gel for detail, you need gel polish for fill-in, and you need a special gel for shading. I'm using my shadow gel, but sometimes I also use stained glass gel. Okay, now this is where the highlight come into action. I'm using Pigment Base, which is a very opaque gel polish. It carry the name Pigment Base because I use it to adhere pigment perfectly and smoothly. But for this step, I am using it for coloring, and with the help of my coloring brush, I also use it to blend it out. And if you want it to be even more perfect, you can also use my milky gel color right after, just to make sure that the transition is nice and smooth. But I'm already very happy with this highlight, so I'm gonna skip the milky gel colors. The middle of the sunglasses, you want to color in solidly and then slowly start blending it out toward the gray side. And I cannot press it enough. Always remember to clean up your brush before you start blending it out. It's very useful. Now, this is where the whisker coming into. I am drawing just a few little dots and then, of course, clean up my brush and then shade it out on both sides. And give a little highlight underneath the mouth also. For the bead of the thread, I am gonna paint it solidly because later on I'm gonna add in different colors. And don't forget about the cigar. I am gonna paint the cigar solid white. And now we are ready for colors. For this specific theme, I am using 3 distinctive colors: red, yellow, and green. On the side of the sunglasses, I am gonna paint it lightly and then start fading it out. The reason why I shadow it first with shadow gel, because if I paint it light enough, I can see the difference between the contrast of the black and white. Same with the thread, completely solid red. Add just a little bit of red on the cigar and on the thread, and let's move on to yellow. If you color your yellow gel color light enough, it can blend in with the red and create a beautiful orange tone right in the middle. One thing that I want to mention is that I cure in between color for 60 seconds. Remember that when it comes to gel colors, you don't want to flash cure it for just a few seconds because it might wrinkle on you. Always make sure you full cure or at least cure for about 15 to 30 seconds. Unless you color it very lightly, then you might be able to pass with flash cure. Okay, so when it comes to the whisker, I am gonna use art gel for sure, just because we are dealing with fine lines. And if you notice here, I am using the 20 millimeters just because my 20 millimeter is very long, so it doesn't absorb a lot of pressure from my hand when I'm painting. This will allow my line to be nice and thin like hairlines. Remember, if you use a brush that have very strong pressure, that's gonna make your line very thick, which not very attractive for this step. Now when I'm done, I'm gonna flash clear and then go on to my black art gel. Just one tiny little dot right at the end of the whisker. This is a very distinctive character for all feline, including lion, tiger, and cat. Clear for 60 seconds when you're done and then matte everything using my matted top coat. Now these details here are just the attention for the line and hair on both sides. I'm using my shaded top coat because my shaded top coat can also be a blooming gel. As you can see here how it's bleed my pigment base when I apply. Okay. After this, I am going to use my white ink to trace all over the highlights. You also can seal it with matted and stack on a second layer. This white ink will allow you to make beautiful smoke vein. And remember that this is not your traditional marble ink. This is art ink which is very strong. You need something like this to apply on a dark background like the black background that we are seeing here. I tell you that ink can also adhere to pigment, same with matted. And the type of pigment that I'm using here is called my pressed pigment. It includes all the natural color tone and all the primary color tone. Pressed pigment are very useful when it comes to quick blend. But if you want to mix color pigment together, you have to use loose pigment for that. Of course, all my loose pigment and all my pressed pigment are all in different colors. Remember to dust very lightly. Now I'm gonna matte everything just because it's my favorite finish, but you can use shine if you want. Okay, so let me walk you through the blending process. This is my famous pigment brush, by the way. It can ensure your blend is perfect. And my brush have a lot of dent in it because I knock up excess dust before I blend. This will eliminate a lot of mess. As you can see here, when I blend on my finger, you see no loose dust shooting out, which will eliminate a lot of mess and headache. Now you see this step when I start blending it. This step can be very challenging for people who have heavy hand. So just in case you do, remember you can take the brush and run across the paper towel several times to weaken the amount of color in the brush, so that will help you blend it out more smoothly. Because if you have a lot of pigment on your brush, of course you couldn't blend it lightly like this. This is one of my secrets when it comes to pigment art. Always have to divide it into two different steps. The first step is solid color, then pause, and then take your brush and run over the paper towel several times to weaken the colors. Then you're gonna come back and start blending. And the reason why I jump all the way down to the bottom, because my middle color is yellow and yellow are very bright. So most often I couldn't tell if the yellow blend perfectly or not, and that could cause issue. That's why I save yellow for last. Remember that before you start blending on another color, you have to make sure that the first color are perfectly smooth. Because if not smooth, if you slap another color on, the second color gonna be very unattractive because the transition are not even. And you can see here my last color is yellow, so I don't need to go lightly on my brush. I can just take a lot of yellow and go ahead and blend it in. You see how smoothly it's blended to the other two colors? Then I just dress it up with some black graphite crystal. And voila, this is the Bob Marley inspired theme for 420. Enjoy and take care.